Listen to the second half of the story that you just heard the first half of from the Gospel of Matthew once again. This is continuing the story where it was left off. Matthew chapter 3 and verses 13 to 17. Then Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee to John at the Jordan to be baptized by him. John would have prevented him, saying, "I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me?" But Jesus answered him, "Let it be so for now, for it is proper for us in this way to fulfill all righteousness." Then he consented. And when Jesus had been baptized, just as he came up out of the water, suddenly the heavens were opened to him, and he saw God's Spirit descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from the heavens said, "This is my Son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased." May God bless to our understanding this reading from God's holy word, and to God's name be glory and praise. I'd prefer not to be the preacher today. I'd like one of you guys to preach. No? All right, I'll do it. As I step into the pulpit, I wonder what people are bringing with them into this room today and what they really need to hear when I get up here to speak to you. What do you need to hear from God, not from me, from your conscience, from the Spirit moving inside you? And I think the words we just heard are probably part of what you need to hear and what I need to hear. That you are beloved, that you are chosen, that you are God's own. You're my beloved. I like it. I'm getting into this. I like the person you're becoming. I've noticed the growth in you. You're an inspiration to me. I'm grateful for you. You're my beloved. Wouldn't it be nice if we heard words like that a little more often than we do? And just a few fewer of the words that we're seeing on our phones and hearing from the news and hearing from our car radios and hearing all around us. Wouldn't it be nice if we heard words like this spoken to us on a regular basis? What would it do to us if there were somebody there reminding us daily, you matter, you're beloved, you too are chosen, you too have a calling, you're my beloved? What would it do for your sense of well-being if someone spoke such words of beauty and grace and power and wisdom and healing every single day into your life? The old public service ad on TV when I was a kid, it was kind of a child abuse prevention thing, I think. It said, words can hit or hurt. Words can hurt, just like a fist. But words have many powers. They don't only hurt. They can also bless. And they can also heal, and they can give hope. There are things we need to hear from each other more frequently than we are hearing them. And those are the same things that we need to be saying to each other too. And in our day, when the powerful are spewing their incoherent invective, their words of bigotry and blame and fear and hate and egotism and violence and greed, it is our calling as those who follow Christ to speak better truths that the people around us need to hear. Words of challenge, yes, but also words of comfort, words of assurance, words of welcome, words of playfulness. How often do you hear those these days? Words of hope, words of resistance, words of courage. Words like, "You've got this. Only say it if you mean it. You've got this. I believe in you. You're doing great. I'm not going anywhere. I know you're scared. I'm right here with you. You don't look 56. Words of encouragement. Words of hope. You're my beloved. I'm happy with you. Why do we withhold such words from the people we love? Why do we get all weird and awkward when we get the urge to say such vulnerable things to the people around us, we don't want to make it weird, and so we keep them to ourselves, and we hope that maybe they know how much we appreciate them, how much we love them. We hope we can show it through other ways without actually saying it, because saying it just is such a risk. We're embarrassed to speak freely. But words of hate are all around us in this day. Let us say to others the things that we need to hear ourselves, and let us do it with genuineness and sincerity. And so what do you need to hear today? What do you need to hear? Whatever it is, you probably need to say it too. What are some rare truths that would help to heal your spirit? How about something like, "You made a difference in my life"? That's a nice one to hear. If somebody comes back to you and says, "You made a difference in my life," it makes a huge difference in your life when they do that. I never get tired of hearing that one, not because I'm especially egotistical, though I'm as egotistical as anyone else, but because I sometimes wonder if what we're doing here is anything anybody's paying any attention to. This whole religious endeavor felt more urgent back when I decided to make a career of it. And now in the great turning away, church feels outdated and stale to so many people in our society. And it's hard, it's discouraging when you major in a thing that everybody else minors in, if that. Something that they see as secondary at best or irrelevant or ridiculous at worst. But every now and again, somebody will say to you, and they'll say it to me, "Hey, that meant a lot to me. That made a difference for me." And it gives us the strength to keep on going. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to reconnect with my high school French teacher, my favorite teacher of all time, and to tell her, and I believe she's watching, she watches every week, all the way from Canton, Ohio, and to tell her that she made a difference in my life. Not only did she give me the language that would expand my world and allow me to go live in Africa, but French was the first thing that I was ever good at. And being good at one thing made me think, maybe I could be good at another thing, and tackling other interests. It was a very seminal, important thing for me. I wish I could find Mr. Carter, the 4th grade teacher, who saw into my life and took me aside and gave me some wise, if unwanted counsel that I needed to hear. Now, let me say this as an aside, as a footnote to this sermon. There are things we need to hear that we don't want to hear, and I'm not talking about those today. I'm talking about the things we need to hear, and we need to hear them badly, and we actually want to hear them if we thought about it, but we rarely hear them and we rarely share them. Well, I don't know where Mr. Carter is, or if he needs to hear it, but I'd like to say it to him if ever I find him someday. What are some things that you need to hear today in your life? Words like, "I love spending time with you." How about, "I see what's going on in your life and I'm here." There's enormous power in just being there. How about, "I trust you. I love you. I know you're angry. I know you're scared. I'm here. I'm on your side. You're good at what you do. You're my beloved. With you, I am well pleased." I mean, think about it. Christmas is over finally. 3 decades have passed in this story. 3 decades have fluttered by since the angel's song faded out over the starlit skies above Bethlehem. Old Mother Mary, pushing 50, which was old in those days, must be wondering what all that was about. 30 years ago. You know, her son, he's a good man, but he's also ordinary. Did she make it all up? The angels, the shepherds, the magi, whose strange gifts they had to trade for their survival when they became refugees, fleeing a tyrant to the land of Egypt? And Jesus, he's a carpenter, he's a respectable tradesman, but moving stars and frankincense and oxen kneeling, what was that about? It would have been exceedingly rare in that time and place for a 30-year-old man to be unmarried. And so we have to ask questions about Jesus' personal life. Was he divorced? Was he a widower? Was he not interested in women? All we know is that at the ripe old age of 30, middle-aged by the standards of the day, Jesus got moved by the preaching of a desert prophet named John the Baptist, by some accounts his cousin. He felt the urge to be baptized. And why do adults choose baptism? Because they want to change in their lives. He recognized a need for change in the world and in himself. And when he came up out of the water, he heard something that would change the course of his whole life. And whether others heard it or not, we don't know. But he heard it. And not only did it change the course of his life, it changed the course of history. And it's something we need to hear today and tomorrow and the next day, and maybe a few times today, though I'm only going to say it, another 6 or 8 times in this sermon. And it is this: you are the beloved. You are chosen by God, and you have new responsibilities born of that love. For love always creates responsibilities. You are the beloved. And then Jesus, having heard that, was so shocked and surprised by it that he had to go off and be alone for 40 days to process it and to decide if he really wanted to take on the burdens that love would put upon him. Because love does that, doesn't it? Once you are loved, it gives you new responsibilities. Was he really going to burn down his whole life up to this point and start anew at his age? But then, after he embraced his belovedness, after he accepted it, which we all have to do, and it's one of the hardest acceptances we'll ever have to make, after he accepted it, it gave him a new calling and a new direction and a whole new identity and responsibility. For our identities always entail responsibilities. And the entire world would be changed because one man believed when someone said that he was loved, that he was chosen. Baptism. I love to have a baby to baptize on Baptism of the Lord Sunday. Baptism is what we think about today, and it's more than a rite of passage and a blessing. It's a declaration of belonging, of belovedness, and of an individual's or of their parents' desire to seek God. You know, unlike Mark, who just tells this story straightforwardly, and maybe you noticed that I messed up a little bit when I was reading Matthew. It's because I've memorized the part in Mark. The story in Mark I know by heart. When I get to Matthew, Matthew has tweaked a few things, or maybe he remembers things a little bit differently. Matthew seems a little apologetic about the fact that Jesus got baptized. He has Jesus and John having this little exchange about, I shouldn't be baptizing you, you should be baptizing me. And Jesus is like, okay, well, let's just do this. Come on, people are watching. But do you really think that Jesus' baptism was for show? I do not. No, I believe that he did it because he too was called to change. As good as he was, it was a day wherein he knew that he had to change to meet the circumstances of his times. And the only faithful thing to do was to change. He did it because he knew that he had to cast aside the old life and be born into the new. A drunk man stumbles upon a riverside baptismal service. He bumps right into the preacher. The preacher smells alcohol and he asks, "Are you ready to find Jesus?" And after dunking the man twice without finding Jesus, the preacher holds him underwater a little longer this time. And he asks again, "Have you found Jesus yet?" And the drunk man, catching his breath, asks the preacher, "Are you sure this is where he fell in?" Okay, so I needed to insert a little levity, and as I think about it, that was very little. A little humor, that was very little humor at this point in the sermon. You are my beloved. With you I am well pleased. And you, who are also the beloved, you with whom God is also pleased. You who have waded out into the chilly waters of your own Jordans, you who have heard the gurgling waters of your life swirling around your heads as you held your breath and took the plunge into the baptisms that you knew you must undergo. You too have heard claims of love spoken over the waters of your life. You have taken on commitments and duties that you never would have taken on if love had not made its claims upon you. What do you need to hear today? Well, I'm going to say it again because it goes against everything we're hearing outside these walls. It is that you are the beloved. It is that you are chosen, not just for a task, but because you are loved and visited with new responsibilities that flow from that love. Maybe you don't feel like you're beloved, but you are. And I offer as evidence the simple fact that you are. You exist. You were issued an invitation to this great big party called existence. And what were the chances of that, if you think about it? The chances of you existing at all are smaller than infinitesimal. Consider all the things that had to come together just perfectly in order for you to exist. I've spent a few days filling out the family tree at the front of our big decorative King James Bible. It's a Barnes & Noble edition. It's really pretty. And it's got those old prints with the Gustave Doré prints on the inside. And I bought it mostly just to write the names of my ancestors in the family tree pages at the front of the Bible. And I didn't know them past my own grandparents. And so I've been Googling all these people who are my ancestors and finding their graves sometimes online, on a rare occasion finding their obituaries, though most of them didn't have any. And each time I find a name and write it in the family Bible of a person I've never heard of before, I think to myself, this stranger, I know nothing about this person, but it's thanks to this person that I exist. If this person hadn't existed, if this person had died a week earlier than the event that created me, or that added to my creation, I wouldn't exist. No one remembers a thing about them. They left no words. They left no photos. They lived and died in obscurity. Few of them reached the age of 80. They were farmers and factory workers and housewives and a few German-speaking preachers. The apple doesn't fall far. I know nothing about them, but I owe my existence to them, and someday I'll be one of them, an ancestor. I would not exist if not for this great-great-grandparent. Not only that, I would not exist if one of these two ancestors had had a headache that night. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be crass, but this is true. Someone would exist, but it wouldn't be me. It would be somebody else entirely different. There is meaning in existence. There's purpose to it. It's not random. Hidden away in the tiniest mundane details of our lives, there exists all the beauty and the energy of life, capital L. Consciousness, will, love, reason, emotion. How could these bubble up out of matter? Relationships, skills, duties, joys. What are these? If not the very life of God being lived in us. Existence is not random, it's purposeful. In our clearer moments, we know this. In our better instances, we realize that there is hidden meaning in the heart of our human experience. And sometimes there is hidden meaning even in the scratchy fabric of our very lives. There's meaning in the things that happen to us. And that's not to say that they were foreordained or anything necessarily, but God is present in them. Each breath that we borrow from that good mystery named God is a holy thing. The fact that you are is a divine thing. And why do you exist? Oh, am I going to tackle that one? Well, the old catechism says you exist to glorify God and to enjoy God forever. Glory and joy, those are two really good reasons to exist. Glory and joy, beauty and love. You exist because you are desired. You exist because you add to the beauty and the meaning and the goodness of this world. You exist because you are beloved. You were wished into being, child of love, born of love, destined for love. You are desired and known and held and beloved. You probably need to be reminded of this more often than you are, especially because there are some very loud voices in our nation today telling you that you do not matter unless you're one of them. But church exists for this purpose, to give you a counter-narrative, a whole different story to live by, a whole different vision to live by, a whole different set of values from the broken values that we are hearing coming out of Washington today. A whole different set of values from the selfishness and the hate that we are hearing. Church is here to tell you that you matter, that you are desired, that you are beloved, that you were wished into being, and that the party would not be complete without you. This is what Jesus heard at his baptism, and it became his message to the world, and it got him killed just 3 years later. It got him killed 3 years later, but he could do no other. Once you have been claimed by love, you can never be the same. Being loved changes you. It gives you responsibilities for others. Being loved, being accepted as you are, being told, I'm happy with you. Being loved creates new responsibilities. And so if we will accept that very hard thing to accept, if we will accept that we are beloved, what responsibilities does that place upon us today? If we will accept it, that we are loved, what do we need to do? How shall we respond? Well, for one thing, let us speak belovedness, first to ourselves and then to those around us. You know that awkward moment when you get an embarrassing urge to tell somebody you love them, but you don't know, you just can't quite do it. You get the urge to tell somebody how much they mean to you, or just that you're there for them, or that you see what's going on in their life. Tell them you love them, but you hesitate because you don't want to make things all weird. You know what? I think just do it. I think maybe just get over the ego and just say it. It needs to be said. Our time together is short. Our time here below is short, and you may not get another opportunity to say it, and so say it when you get the urge. The Spirit speaks in strange and unusual ways. There are things we need to hear, and if you need to hear them, the people in your life also need to hear them. Speak belovedness into a world that is rife with abusive language and destructive language and heartbreaking words. Call people whatever they ask you to call them. Use whatever pronouns they prefer. Say meaningful things that you know you must say, even if it's a little bit awkward, because you won't regret it. You're my beloved. I like the person you're becoming. I've noticed the growth in you. You're an inspiration to me. I'm here with you. I'm grateful for you. You're my beloved. Let's do this. We can do this. Amen.